Sometimes when I consider something as a possibility or contemplate and start to feel into what that means for reality, my experience of reality, I've had a few different strong feelings recently about the intensity of the implications of some of these things that are starting to make sense with pattern recognition and everyone that is doing the research to confirm each other's insights and research. And when I was talking with Electric Gnosis in that conversation, you can listen to it, it's pretty good. I was talking about how I feel that everything is just a phase transition, but there's just one thing. And I don't know if I call it ether or spirit or God or consciousness, the unified field. But it just seems to me that from that base level state, however formless it is, because of materialism, science, people have programmed into them that if you can't see it or measure it, then it doesn't exist or have any importance. That's obviously not true. And so just contemplating about the process from the fundamental substrate as it begins to concentrate upon itself, and the charge distribution creates a vortexing effect from the pull of the electromagnetism. It pulls substrate into a deeper dimensionality from seemingly nothing, but I really think it's spirit, which is one giant field, one giant morphic field that has subfields within it as the process of concentration and charge flows, so that there are these individuations of spirit that can become activated and affect change. And once it develops enough electromagnetic flow, the pull of the vortex, it's not just for water vortex, it's all the elements, everything. The elements are different phases of this etheric spirit field. There's nowhere that it is not. There's nowhere that spirit is not. And I feel like by saying spirit, it's not the assumption that means divine and pure and heavenly and beautiful. It's everything. It's all possibilities. It's the spectrum across all archetypes, and every individuation of spirit that funnels itself into its own self-sustaining packet to experience and affect change that can come from any degree of intention. And so I think a lot of people and myself get tripped up on the fact that saying everything is spirit means that it's a bypassing way to say that everything is love and beautiful. And I think that the New Age spirituality has really made it a little more challenging to contemplate, because it's so pervasive and it has such an impact, because people have strong reactions to either really believing that or really knowing that that's not true. Because we can see in reality all of the degrees of variations of intentions across all spectrums of archetypes exist. Some individuation that is building upon itself and going around and collecting charge can do it with immature intentions. I don't think that I'm careful not to anthropomorphize or put the human quality onto all of these creations that are coming into form, the thought forms and the different concentrations of charge, how they grow. In the conversation that I was having with Electric Gnosis, when I said that I feel that everything is just a phase, a different phase of the same thing, a different level of density, and it can go deeper into density and express itself or not express itself, depending on if it's within a realm that has strong minerality and charge and density, then it may be more challenging for that spiritual element to express itself when it's within an interface that limits or restricts its capacity to show up in its pure form. And those challenges and restrictions and limitations, I think, affect the experience of the spirit, whatever form it's in, as well. And there's an evolution for each individuated element to grow or shift through experience and add more experience. And he said, oh, that's what Walter Russell says. Everything is just a different, I forget how he worded it, of the one, whatever spirit or ether. And I've been meaning to read the Universal One and the Secrets of Light. I'm not sure if that's the right name of the book. I feel drawn to Walter Russell's work, but I haven't immersed myself in it yet. But I resonate with that. And I've been, for a while, trying to articulate it. And when I had the opportunity to have the conversation with Josh about that, and he confirmed it with the Walter Russell material, it was really exciting because then I felt like I could go deeper into that idea and continue developing it, and how I'm intuitively picking up on the information around it, that as the spirit form begins the process of the spinning and pulling into its funneling to the singularity point of all the energy at the base, and then it flips back onto itself and becomes a closed loop torus system, so it can at that point start to store charge and memory in its field. If the interface within density makes it more challenging for the spirit to express itself. So just talking about living here in this earth realm and simultaneously having a human experience, but also not identifying completely with being a human, identifying with the spirit element of you. And it's strange to think about, if everything is permeated with spirit, even the interface and the material and the density and the minerals and all of these conduits, they also are made of, at the fundamental building blocks, spirit as well. It's like becomes crystallized and slows down. And I can feel that. It's really painful, actually, to feel those limitations, especially when my human experience is also limited because of an injury and having a hard time doing everything that I would really want to be doing. And just sensing into the elements and how the water and the air and the fire and the smoke and the mist and the earth and the dust is all spirit. And I think about the information, the fields within fields. There's the larger field, and then each system has its own field. Each kingdom has its own field of morphic resonance, where you could tap into the field of information that's in the human Akash. You can tap into the information that's in the animal Akash, or the underlying fundamental field. And it's all time and space. And that's why remote viewing practices are so interesting, to set an intention that a target, a number, a coordinate is relating to a region in the past or the future of concentration, of individuality, of somethingness. And then just with that number that's associated with it by the person who set up the target, somehow, like through scalar waveforms or longitudinal wave function, one is able to become not entangled but connected quantumly to that. That's the information that's everywhere. And it's not separate. There's no distance. Also within this realm and reality itself, there's no denying that there's this feedback element that once you begin to observe and make more connections, that reality or spirit itself becomes an observer of you. And I can see evidence of the feedback. Sometimes it's so fast, what appears in my reality, because of what I'm focusing on in my mind or my field. So everyone or everything has its own electromagnetic field, its own torus mechanism that is constantly bringing in information from the out to the center core of yourself to be refined or investigated, utilized, contemplated. And we all have these double layers of charge distribution that allows for our own smaller morphic field to exist. Our memories and all our data and everything is stored in like our smaller data field around us. It's not in the brain. It's like covering or all around us in our field. And we have individual fields, and then you have concentric bubbles fields within, from the micro to the macro. I have a field with my house. I have a separate field with the YouTube channel that has its own. And this is how I believe egregores and thought forms and charge concentrations can become activated, because those bits of information that are in the field as ingredients or code, or I'm not sure what the right word is, can also be focused on. So you have an intention and you have something that's up in your reality and you want to make it a material thing. You want it to become real for you. Or even not, even, for example, specific groups of people that are contributing thoughts and emotions, the energy and motion, the focus, the awareness to a specific field or conglomeration of data, it can become stirred, and it can become spinning upon itself and create from there the egregores, the tulpas, the thought forms. There's possibility for everything to become more of an individuated being, depending on how much focus and charge there is directed to it, or how much investment there is of many emotions toward it. And that's all along the spectrum, positive or negative or good or bad. People they go to a job, and that job has its own morphic field, and when a lot of individuals start feeling the same way about that job, then something begins to form and express all of that emotion. It could be, and I would think hypothetically that if it's all a bunch of workers that are disappointed and feeling frustrated in their job, and they're all focusing and sharing in that field and continuing to contribute that would become stirred and become an egregore for the company that is going to activate and affect change in the vibrational or frequential information, and things start happening in the office, or in the opposite way. A family has a new child and everyone is so elated and feeling love, and then that focus on that fact that a new member of the family is here, it becomes an egregore or a thought form as well, and can become like a spirit, like a guardian angel of the child, or we can build our own without even being in a group, with our own field. I know that when I was a teenager, I had a lot of angst and very depressed and having a really hard time understanding why I had to be here, and I didn't even have to do anything or express the anger or the depression. It would come out and affect things around me, and you could feel it. It was palpable. Some people have really strong formations of repressed emotion in their field, and that the energy in motion needs to go somewhere. So if you're not doing something about it, then the field around you will develop an outlet for that. So when I made the video yesterday, I think that it confused some people because I'm investigating the mechanics of how these things are possible and looking at it from an investigative, scientific type of a mind, because that's my nature, and potentially disregarding that this is a very challenging situation that we are in, and it takes more than knowing, oh yeah, this is how it happened, so what? We're still in it and still have to wake up the next day and feel the discomfort or the moments of peace. I wrote in a comment that I just don't want to give my focus and my attention anymore to suffering and feeling awful, because I am already in a situation where I'm in constant extreme pain, and I need to balance that out, or I wouldn't be able to make it any longer. I need to stay curious. I am staying curious. I am appreciative of the gnosis and the connections that are being made and what it implies, and honoring that I have subtle senses, that I'm able to meet myself somewhere between the humanness and the spirit and give my system an upgrade here while I'm here, to be able to build the resilience to make it through however long, much longer I'm here. Something shifted for myself recently, and I'm just tenderly noticing. I'm trying not to put stories to anything. Start to focus on the parts of spirit that are available to me and to everyone to assist us, and thinking about all of the elements, and everything is a phase of the one spirit. I know that me just speaking outside here, just speaking anywhere, I could be inside. I'm not alone. We're not alone. It's everywhere. And it's all intelligent. And it's all sentient. And it all has potential to build upon itself and to become one thing or another in varying degrees of anything. And just kind of feeling into the weight of that. Like the things that I've been realizing give me a much bigger sense of responsibility and accountability for what I'm stirring, and being okay with the neighbors, yelling at their dog, and not being okay with it, but just how am I contributing? What am I focusing on? What am I stirring? What am I holding the balance of, or holding, if I want to threshold jump into a new experience, I need to do the work of holding focus in a specific manner and being clear and honest about all the different layers of my psyche and subconscious that are filtering information into my field and transmitting it out, and doing a daily refinement practice and noticing in every moment. I guess basically it's like, which wolf are you feeding kind of thing. Well, thanks for listening, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.